one of the things that Sophie didn't realize when she became a project manager was the number of disagreements that would occur. At times, by the end of the week, she feels like a referee. But over time, by analyzing the characteristics of each new conflict, she's having more success with conflict management. Just this week, there were 2 potential conflicts with her project sponsor. Arun is a key stakeholder of the project, and maintaining a positive relationship with him is very important. The first conflict arose because Arun felt strongly that the project should be completed 1 week earlier so that the marketing team would be able to create a better marketing plan for the DecoCam version 4 project. Sophie saw this as a very significant change that could affect the budget of the project and add significant risk as well. To address this conflict, she booked a meeting with Arun where they explored each of their concerns and searched for possible solutions. In the end, they settled on a new approach. The original project due date will be maintained, but Sophie will meet with the marketing team 1 week before this due date to present all of the product launch deliverables. By using a collaborative approach, both Sophie and Arun were satisfied with the resolution. The second conflict has to do with the weekly status report. As part of the communication management plan, Arun receives a weekly status report sent as an electronic file attached to an email. Arun recently requested that Sophie also sends him a printed copy of the report. Sophie sighed when she received the request, as this is just one more thing she would need to do each week. In addition, the company policy has been to reduce paper use wherever possible. However, when she thinks about it, this issue really isn't important to her, and apparently it's important to Arun. Therefore, she accommodates the request by adding this extra step to her weekly processes. Also during the week, Sophie ran into a situation with her project team. During a team meeting, Sarah and Eli said that rather than recording the number of hours that they worked on the project on a daily basis, they would prefer to estimate their hours at the end of the project. Sophie explained why having current information on a regular basis is useful to her effective management of the project. This satisfied Sarah, but Eli digs in and states that he still doesn't want to record his hours during the project. Given the high importance of timely project information, and that this is a company policy that cannot be changed, Sophie takes a directing approach and lets Eli know that while she understands his concerns, it must be done. A day later, one of the employees from the finance department drops by her office. It seems that her team was very loud as they celebrated the completion of a key milestone earlier in the week. She asked Sophie to speak to her team to make sure they are quiet next time. Sophie recalls that she was probably laughing the loudest at the meeting. Overall, she feels that this issue is somewhat trivial since it was a very brief period of celebrating and they didn't exceed the normal noise levels in the office. She also doesn't know the employee and probably won't have any further interactions with her. She thanks the employee for the feedback but politely indicates that she won't be pursuing this further. By avoiding any further discussion, she limits the time spent on this issue. She doesn't expect to hear any more about it. And finally, while meeting with the project managers of the other DecoCam version 4 projects, 2 of the project managers asked if the project status report could be sent to them by 8 a.m. on Thursdays rather than by noon. They would like more time to prepare for the Friday meeting. This concerns Sophie as she usually arrives to the office at 8:30 a.m. after dropping her daughter off at daycare. She feels that it's not an overly important issue, though she knows that maintaining a good relationship with the other project managers is important. They reach a compromise that the project status report will be sent by 10 a.m. By the end of the week, Sophie feels she effectively managed each of the conflicts that came up. She is sure, though, that there will be more problems to address next week.